Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Alex Gonzalez, a shop owner right outside of New Orleans. Now, Alex also is a sales manager at a Harley Davidson. So when he bought his shop, he came in with a ton of sales experience and has put together a really good team, a really good system, and really brought his shop into essentially the 21st century when it comes to sales, customer care, and the customer experience. So absolutely great episode, especially if you're trying to get your shop or your artist or even yourself to essentially the next level when it comes to client experience, sales, retention, getting people back in from and learning from somebody that actually owns a shop. So awesome episode as always. Really excited to have him on and enjoy.
Yeah, my name is Alex Gonzalez from New Orleans, Louisiana. My shop is Electric Expressions. Been in business for 30 years. We recently, me and my partner took it over about 3 years ago. Um, so I'm kind of new to the tattoo industry, I guess. But all my background is in sales and customer service. So that's why my partner reached out to me to get me involved.
Awesome, man. And when you say sales and customer service, like what's your experience in that?
So I've been working for Harley Davidson since 2019 or 2020. Started off as an entry level salesman. From there, did F&I. To currently, I'm the sales manager of New Orleans Harley.
Awesome, man. That's got to be a fun job.
Yeah, it could be interesting at times for sure.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I've got a Harley down in my garage, so
My man, my
yeah,
man.
fun. So yeah, part of the reason I want to have you on is because you have that background in sales and customer service, and that's something that you don't see a lot of in the tattoo
Sure.
industry. And then again, with how much growth has gone on the last couple of years and how much is predicted to grow, um, it's becoming more and more important. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen this as well with owning a tattoo shop. Is most artists would benefit a lot from even just a little bit of sales 101 training.
Yeah, it's pretty. I'm not even gonna say it's interesting. I find it actually pretty fun, right? Because I've became acquaintances with a lot of other shops. I've talked to a lot of the greats in the industry, even down here. Jackie Grisham is a good acquaintance of mine now. She's the first ever black woman tattoo artist. So Jackie's awesome, and me and her have talked on a one-on-one basis, and it means a lot. Where I have certain, I guess you could say, groups of people that are almost like hating on me in the sense of like, oh, what are you doing owning a shop? You don't even tattoo, because I don't.
Yeah.
Whereas I can have someone like of her caliber go, man, the industry was due for you about 10, 20 years ago, and the only thing I think we do differently is apply simple sales tactics or sales knowledge, customer service um, priorities into a tattoo shop. Um, and when I talk to other tattoo shop owners and they really got great things going, great artists, it's like, from what I see, the one missing key to their puzzle is great. Well, what are you doing about your sales though? Um, the industry is growing, and also the competition's growing. You have a tattoo shop on every corner. So I don't think the more traditional way of running a shop of, hey, we're just going to treat people good, make good art, people are going to keep coming to us. Yeah, that's going to get you so far. But if you really want to, kind of, I guess, get the leading edge or really take you to the level that you want, you got to do something different. And I think this is the thing that's different is how are you getting to the people instead of the people coming to you? So
100% agreed,
that's the
man.
fun part.
Yeah, and one thing I want to clear, I guess, the air about right now is when people hear sales, they think like slicked back hair, used car salesman, like hard
Yeah,
sales pressure, like buy, and like that's not what we're talking about when we talk about sales.
not at all. Not at all. I mean, I'm talking just in the mere fact of the way I was taught to sell something, is don't just worry about shoving the product or the service down a person's throat. It's how about you actually take the time and make a friend at first, learn what is the product that is best for them, why should they get that product, and solve their problem, man. Every customer that comes to you has a problem. It's find their solution and present it to them and make it achievable. And you don't
Yep.
need to be the typical stereotype sales douchebag to accomplish it. You don't.
Not at all, man. And that's how I was taught sales too, is you're just solving people's problems. You're not trying to force them into something. Like if they come to you, they have a problem, whether that's they need a Harley, they need a tattoo, something like that, and you're just there
Correct.
to guide them to make sure they're getting what they want. And that's sales.
That's sales, 100%. Especially in the tattoo industry too. It's not like a Harley, where a Harley comes in, some people, it is a big purchase. It is a big thing. Now, a Harley's still a very emotional purchase most of the time, whether that's excitement, getting attached to a family member, that relates to tattooing all day. Um, but at the same sense, most of the time, a person that's interested in a tattoo or has an idea, they've already premeditated on it. They already have some type of concreteness to what they want. All they're looking for is someone to make them comfortable and say, "Hey, man, yeah, you're in the right place. We're gonna bang this piece out the park for you." Um, and yet again, with the competition, I think so many shops, so many artists. If you sit around and wait for people to just walk in, yeah, you're not going to win. You're
Yeah,
just not. So you have to do something different. And I think that's where you and your company does play a big factor in, because you could do that way of just waiting in. You could try to do certain things yourself, as far as marketing and advertising, um, where I think InkLink plays a factor. The reason why I'm still with y'all and don't plan to go anywhere is y'all just made it all universal and said, "Hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Here it is." Because InkLink is not a fix all, here's the magic, make it happen.
yeah.
You still have to learn and you still have to put in some work yourself. Um, but damn it, for anybody who's going to put in the work, I do believe in the product that you offer. I do.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. And yeah, that's one of the things that we're explaining more when we start talking to a shop is like $500 in ad spend is not going to fix every single problem you have. It's just not. It can
Correct.
help. It can help, especially if you have the sales experience. But I had a call with a shop owner probably 2 months ago. He's like, "Man, we're 2 weeks from going out of business. How can you save us? I've got like $1,000 budget." I was like, "Dude, we can't." Like, I wish
Yeah.
we could, man, but
Yeah.
we cannot do like that's not gonna happen. If you came, you're like, "I got 10 grand, fill my shop." Like, okay, we could do something with that, but and I was just real with him, man. It's like it's just a little, it's too little, too late, unfortunately.
For sure. And then
There is
even
no
if
magic
for
pill.
the guy that brings 10 G's, my answer to that will be cool. You'll get some results from that, even if it saves your shop or not. But longevity purposes, unless you get you and your team all under this certain way of conducting themselves and conducting their daily business, you're not going to win long term. You're just not.
No.
And I'll tell you, man, I mean, at least from my shoes, being such a sales driven tattoo shop, right? Because that's just the way I know how to do business. Artists usually don't like it. They really
Mhm.
don't. Most artists come into it with, "Hey, I just want a tattoo and go home," and that is great, no problem. I'll do as much as I can for you, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I find it amazing when, like, I get these artists. I got two of them right now that just joined the team, um, and they're very interested in all this stuff. It's new to them, right? And they're really grasping it, and they're applying it themselves, and they're getting results from it. And they're like, "Shit, yeah, man. When can we get more from you? What's next? What can we learn next?" And they just keep pushing. I'm good, thank you. Um, and they're adapting, and those
Yeah.
artists, I think, really will lead the way for changing how the tattoo artists conduct themselves. They really will.
Agreed. Agreed, man. There's definitely some artists that will come in and they are hungry and they want to learn and they want to like stay late, come in early, take as many as you can. And then I hear a ton of stories of people that hire artists and they're happy just paying their bills, and then that's they're good.
Yep.
And to each their own. If you're happy, you're happy. Like, it doesn't
Well,
doesn't
what
affect
I
me,
think it
but
is truthfully, we're talking about the sales stuff. It intimidates them. You know, it's something
Mhm.
new that they didn't know was a part of the tattoo world, right? And so at least when they come into my shop and it's like day one, I'm like, yeah, man, here's the leads from the past week. Here's leads for past 30 days. If you want to look at all my leads, here you go, man. What do you want to do? You tell me. I'll do as much
Yeah.
as I can. But the sky's the limit. You want people, here it is. And they're like, I've never seen this. And it's like, cool. And then you show them something like the CRM, and then that really is like, holy crap, what is this thing? It's like, it should be your new best friend. It's your organizer, you know?
Yep. And
Um,
that's something I
it's
wanted to
funny.
actually talk about, man, is another thing that we see, and I'm sure you experienced this with either other shops or yours right when you took it over, is someone might call a shop or fill out a form to get a consultation or shoot the shop an email, and then like they just fall into the abyss. And they
Sure.
like, yeah. And so bringing in a CRM and stuff like that is, and for people that know, that's a client relationship manager. It's a piece of software just so you know where everybody is in the essentially buying process or follow up process, and you have everybody that's coming in one spot and you communicate with them, which is amazing because you stop having at least 90% of those people fall through the cracks, and there's no reason anybody really should if they're all in this system.
Yeah, if they're on the system and then it still takes the actual shop still putting the work
Mhm.
just to log your people, man, put them in the right step, put them in the right pipeline, and make sure that you're staying on top of it. Um, and even with the, like you said, not necessarily the loss, nothing goes through the cracks. I'm even adding a internet manager to my staff, right, where his job is going to be strictly to work leads and follow up.
Nice.
So even leads that go dead, hey, maybe we didn't get nowhere with them, but hey, it's been 60 days. Let's rework them and see what it's looking like.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all built around the CRM and Inklink.
Yeah.
So yet again, just more evidence of, yeah, Inklink brings the tools, but unless you really put in the work yourself, it's not gonna work by itself. It's just
Yep.
it's a vital piece, but you still need to build around it.
100%, man. 100%. And that's like the single reason that we started using that AI bot for a bunch of shops is like we would send them interested people and they either wouldn't pick up their like in because the CRM we use high level, you can track calls. 82% of calls we sent to shops did not get answered during work hours, which is
Sure.
mind blowing because they're paying for them. But anyway, or you would send them somebody that filled out a form and 4 days later they still hadn't contacted them. So it was like it doesn't matter how much money you spend on advertising if you're doing nothing, if you're not answering your phone or somebody fills out a
Correct.
form and it takes you 4 days. They're already at the shop down the street getting
Correct.
tattooed.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the AI for the speed to lead purpose.
Mm.
Now how me and my team utilize it. It's how I like it. It's how I found most of them like it. Is AI is just purely for the speed to lead purpose,
Mhm.
and then as soon as one of us can, we're gonna turn off the AI and we're gonna get a human involved with that other human.
Yeah.
And we don't hide it. We don't sugarcoat it, right? Because once we talk to the person, like, oh, well, where's Val? I was talking to Val.
Yeah.
It's I'll tell them, like, look, that's our AI assistant.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Works pretty well.
And that's it. So I believe being straightforward with it, and yeah, this is how we do it. We have an AI assistant, we have an internet manager. There's a me. Here's an artist.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of customers even are kind of taken off guard by that. They're like, "Damn, this is a lot for a
Yeah.
tattoo shop," and it's like, yeah, it is a lot, but we're trying to do something different.
Yeah, and with the growth of the industry, and it's projected to double again the next by 2029, 2030. The stuff that you are doing now, you are like getting in at the point where it's starting to become needed, but look where it's going to be in 5 years. This
Yeah,
is going to be like sink or swim at that point when there's so much more competition. And yeah, what you're doing now is again getting in at the ground floor when like becoming an early adopter of all this stuff that shops are slowly starting to realize like, man, it's getting way more competitive. We need to actually kind of up our game because there's no longer just being a good artist, right? There's great
No,
artists out there that are booked out
every
a
corner.
week. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I had an apprentice on my podcast 4 or 5 months ago. I thought she'd been tattooing for years, but I talked to her. She'd been tattooing on skin for 4 months. Now, she
Right.
grew up as an artist, but like phenomenal. Phenomenal. And again, tattooing on skin for 4 months. She's booked out for 3 months. Um, but that all that to be said, like, yeah, you get apprentices that within the first couple months nowadays because they grew up as amazing artists and that's what they love.
Sure.
They're better than some. She was better than people I'd seen tattooing for 15 years in some cases. It's just being a good artist is not enough.
It's not, and it's funny you're saying that, because me and Frank, that's my business partner, we were talking the other day, and Frank's been tattooing for like 11, 12 years, and he's our top artist,
Mhm.
and it's like he's transitioned over the past 2, 3 years, with me being involved from that old school mindset of, hey, I'm just gonna be nice to people, make great art, and it's gonna happen, to where he's seen the results happen. He's alongside me every step of the way, and to where now he's a believer in doing all the things that we do. And he himself will tell the people that come in, whether they've been doing it for 30 years or they're an apprentice, and he's like, look, I know it's a lot. I know you may not want to follow up with your people or shoot them a text or a phone call, but there is value to it. And um, it's just funny. It really is. More and more artists, I think, are starting to be open minded to it,
Mhm.
especially when they go through a 2 week time frame or a month time frame, and they're fighting it. They don't really want to buy into it, and then when they finally go, either they ask for help, or I finally go, hey, look, I'm gonna do this for you whether you like it or not, and I hit up a bunch of people for them and book them, 10, 20 appointments. It's like, oh shit, how'd you do that? Well, it's pretty easy, dude. I've been telling you. It's no secret. Just talk to people, and
Yeah.
you'll be surprised how many actually are willing to come see it.
Yeah. And part of the reason I harp on this sales stuff and wanted to have you on here is like the stuff works. That's the biggest thing. And it's like, I know the tattoo industry as a whole is a little behind on a lot of stuff, but almost any other industry, like the sales stuff is day one.
Yeah.
Sales and customer service, taking care of your customers so they come back is day one. Um, we or I just started a new podcast segment where we're actually talking to it's from the other side of the chair. So people that are clients and their experiences. Man, I had one on this morning that we recorded. I'll send it to you after we get it edited, but the like her first experience of getting tattooed, and she waited till she was 30, she shelled out a good amount of money for this, was a guy tattooing. It was a 2 day session. She got a whole arm piece, but the guy was making the most crude, disgusting jokes like dead babies and grandmas and and she has a very dark sense of humor. I've known her for 10 years and she was like, even I was like, what the and she never went back, obviously. And it's like, and
Sure.
now like most of her body's done. So how much did that artist lose out on? How much work, how much profit, how much revenue from just being wildly inappropriate with somebody he had literally just met?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, learn how to read your person, and
Yeah.
match the energy, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and especially you're talking from the other side of the chair. I hear both sides of it. I see both sides of it.
Mm,
Even on the sales stuff, with communication, I have a good portion of customers are very responsive to the way we do it, and it works, right? And then I find the customers that have been getting tattooed for a long time, they almost get freaked out by it. Um, I remember day one, before I even had Inklink, I was using another texting service to do like mass texting, or
mm.
whatever. And when I first sent out the very first mass text, I probably had like 500 people being like, who the hell is this acting like the tattoo shop? What scam is this? And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm having to call people like, no, this is really a human, man. I'm at the
Yeah.
shop. Like, and they were just freaked out by it. And today I still get people freaked out by it. I still get people that get, I'm not going to say annoyed, but kind of like, yeah, they just don't want to be a part of the communication side of it.
Mm,
They're not used to being sold a tattoo, you
Mhm.
know? So a lot of them will just go, no, hey, look, take me off the list. I don't want to get text. I'll let y'all know when I'm ready.
Mhm.
Which is fine. I'm not going to harass
Good.
people. I'm not going to, I don't want to waste time on talking to people who don't want to talk to me anyway. That's my logic on it. Uh, so you get both sides of it, and that's okay. I don't get discouraged by that, and I would encourage any other shop that's going to try to adapt and get into this type of stuff. You're going to have people that tell you, "Hey, I don't want to text you." Cool, man. Well, look, we still love you. Hopefully, we see you when you want to text too. That's
Yeah.
all you can do and move on. I mean, my database is about 8,000 people. I've probably siphoned down to like 5,200 people that are actually willing to communicate. So
Got it.
3,000 people don't want to talk to me. Great, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's all you can do. And
Yeah.
still, 5,000 people that want to talk. That's worth something.
100%, man. And what I found in the past is those people who don't want to communicate or get followed up if they haven't got tattooed yet are usually the ones that are never going to show up anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I totally agree with that because the good clientele that is coming in a bunch of times, they are getting bigger pieces. They're not nickel and diming you.
Mhm.
They get excited when you reach out. They're like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, love y'all guys." I had one the other day that really responded. It was like, "Dude, y'all text at the perfect timing." Like he's overseas right now with the military, and he's like, "Y'all text really not trying to be weird when I'm lonely." And it's like,
That's
damn,
awesome.
dude, hey,
That's
look, if
awesome.
you ever want to talk, text in, man. I'll talk to you anytime.
Yeah.
Uh, so you get mixed emotions by it.
Yeah.
But I think the good customers, they do want to talk. It's not a problem for them to get a text once a month with just, hey, man, thinking of you. What's going on?
Mhm.
It's not a big deal.
No, and people appreciate it, man. I was talking to a friend just a couple weeks ago who I can't remember what shop she went to. She's down in the Bay Area, but they sent a follow up text like, "Hey, how's everything healing? Can you send me pictures so I can make sure everything looks good?" She was so appreciative that they followed up and just checked on her like 2 weeks after or a week after getting tattooed because like nobody does that. Like they feel
Yeah,
like it's
it's
get
evidence that
tattooed,
an
get
artist
out.
cares. It's
Yeah.
an evidence that we care. We're not just trying to take your money day one, put a tattoo on you, then cut you.
Yep.
It's hey, we remember you. We remember about your child's baseball game that you were telling us. Did he win? And hey, we're listening. We're here.
Yeah. That
Goes a
especially
long way,
these
man.
days, man. It really does. Especially these days, it goes a really long way. Um, so what are the some of the other stuff you've implemented in the shop, either on the sales side or customer service side that's been huge for you?
Um, Without giving up any of my secrets,
No
let's
secrets.
see. Um, I think really ironing out your how can I word this? Let's see. Labeling your step by step interaction with a person,
Mm,
right? And don't assume that everybody just understands it and whatever, because I can tell you 90% of people don't. And that's from as soon as they walk into the door, how are you approaching that person? What's the type of verbiages you plan to use?
mm,
Once they start talking, we all seen it. Customers come in, the customer that's just going, I want this. What's the price, 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 price? How do you engage that person, right?
mm,
What is that step by step process? What do you do with the person that's nervous? That's their first tattoo. What's that step by step look like? Um, the dude who's been to you every month for the past 2 years, how do you treat him? Really labeling every type of customer, every type of situation, and arming yourself and your team with the right, I guess, step by step track of how they should act, I guess, or
mm,
how they should say it. I spend an awful lot of time really labeling, more than any type of anything related to sales, just working with my team on how are we going to talk to people that want to buy our services.
mm.
Communication is the number one most important thing. And everybody communicates different. That's the beautiful thing about humans. Um, Figure that out,
Yeah.
whatever that means to you, I guess. Without giving
Yeah.
exacts, I think that's my best answer.
No, that
Um,
makes sense. That's there's that saying that a confused mind says no, and stuff that might be everyday talking in a shop. Like most people aren't going to know what. Like if you say, oh, you want a you know black and gray realistic, or you want trash polka, people like, and we've seen this because we've done surveys for shop that say, okay, do you want realism, do you want black and gray, trash polka, Japanese, geometric, and people are like, I just either want color, or and they say black and white, they don't even
sure.
call it black and gray. Like,
Yeah, man. It's really just how do you meet a person where they're at? And
yeah,
then what steps are you going to take to figure out where they're at? Because no one's going to openly come to your counter and be like, hey, I don't know nothing. I want this. They're not going to just open up to you to
yeah,
tell you exactly what you need to know. So you have to work a process into play that's going to let you and your people figure out what your person needs, what your person doesn't, and apply it and sell what you need to sell for that person.
yeah, and keeping them
I'm
comfortable
also a
at the
big
same time for
believer.
sure.
I'm also a big believer, and how do you present your product that you plan to give? Presentation's everything. Um, and then I probably spend another equal amount of time just on closing a person on the deal that you're presenting to them. Tattoos are expensive.
Mhm.
Tattoos are something that, in my experience, majority of the clientele always undervalue. So how do you build up that value and then close your deal? So I spend an awful lot of content and time with different closing strategies and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome.
Um, what else involving sales? Follow up
Mm.
process. I'm big on that. I have an exact way how I like to follow up. I even have exacts like for texting. Don't just be a dry, person on the other side of the phone texting. You're not going to get nowhere. So how do you read a text? What word cues are there that are going to tell you what type of personality is texting you? Because I'm still old school. I love phone calls, right?
Mm.
Now I've had to adapt to say, well, shit, texting is much more efficient and people tend to like texting more.
Mm.
uh, the one thing you lose with texting is tonality.
Yeah.
I can't hear your tone over text. But if you learn how to read a text, really digest it, know who you're texting, whether they're male, female, what age they are, you could 9 times out of 10 figure out their personality pretty quick.
Mm.
And then how do you match that personality over text? Uh, I'm big on that tonality of texting. That's I'll give that hidden secret. There you go. That'll be the one secret
There
I
you
share.
go.
Learn tonality.
I appreciate that one. Yeah, and that's a good point, man. 'Cause, Um, and that's again why we try like with the bot is to get people in person into a shop so they can have a face to face is 100% because of the tonality. Like, and just I'm sure anybody can relate to this. How many times have you had a text conversation with your spouse and one of you gets mad because something was taken the wrong way because there's no tonality and they thought you were being rude and you
Correct.
weren't, or like it's that is a huge
Oh, did I just lose
part
you?
of that. Can you hear me?
Oh,
You still there?
I may have lost you,
Oh, that's weird. I can hear you.
Jesse.
Hello, hello, hello.
Uh-oh.
Uh oh.
Where we left off at?
Talking about like tonality and stuff like that.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I mean, like you were saying with the spouse thing, man. I mean, look at you could be texting your best friend and they're like, hit you with just a simple, "Hey, where you're at?" question mark. But due to the timing and the situation, if you're running late, your perception may be like, "Damn, this dude's pissed at me now,"
Yep.
and really, dude's just being like, "Hey, man, where you're at?"
Yep.
Uh, that's the problem of texting. So learn how to perceive a text and put everything together to really read a person's tone.
Mm.
Uh, And in the same sense, if you get good at reading the tone, you can deliver whatever tones you want to deliver over text. Whether if you want to deliver, maybe in some cases that you're pissed off, you can deliver that over a text. If you want to deliver that you're excited, you can deliver that. Appreciation, you can deliver that. Um, Tonality, yeah, it all goes into play.
Yeah, 100%. And it is definitely a hard thing to learn. And um, again,
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, if that's something that seems like daunting or something, then just don't quote and do stuff like that over text or message. If they're serious, have them come into the shop and have that face to face.
Yeah, for sure. And but even with the face to face, even with a phone call, uh, damn it, learn tonality.
Yes.
It's so many people don't even understand how to do tonality or the importance of it in a in-person interaction or a phone call. Um, and I will tell you, I think that's one of the top five keys to being in any type of customer service position, to where your job is to make someone happy and hopefully sell them something. Uh, if you can't understand how to read a person or let them read you, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Agreed,
struggle.
man. Agreed. And one of the things we hear a lot of, and I'm sure you do too, or I've heard the stories, like someone comes in to see a new tattoo artist and they suck at tonality, so the client thinks the artist is like annoyed with them or doesn't like them, and they have no problem with them, but they're just terrible at tonality. And so the client feels like they're being annoying, even though that's not the artist's perspective, because the artist is not good at
Sure. It's
communication.
just their social skills are not there.
Yep.
I mean, how many people, not just artists, all over the world, right? Um, yeah, they're really genuine, awesome, nice people. They're just not over the top high energy. Maybe their social skills aren't way. And that's the big thing, man, with sales. You don't need to be somebody you're not. Be yourself. Be whoever yourself is. But once you learn the core of what it is to actually sell or be there for a client, um, apply it to your own personality and run with it.
Yes.
That's the next big thing I teach with the team, is hey, I'm gonna give you the core methods, the core processes. I'm gonna teach you theory and strategy and all this, but understand the way I deliver it should be different from you. We're not the same people. Um, Nothing's wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes, agreed. And 2 points I have to that is one is I remember when I first started selling, I tried to emulate a really good salesman I know, and he kind of sounds like a like Grant Cardone kind of guy, and he can sell like that way, and he's awesome. And I just tried to emulate him, and it was terrible. It was so bad until I adopted it to like my how I actually am. And the second point I wanted to touch on that is you don't have to like fake anything or pretend to be happy or anything like that. Like with tonality and stuff, like just see it as like you talk to your kids a way different way than you talk to your mother or your friends or a
Absolutely.
spouse. It's not being a fake person. It's just a different tonality for the situation that you're in.
1000%. And I can tell you for the God, I stress it to new salesmen here at the Harley shop. I stress it to sales or tattoo artists. It's for the love of God, don't ever fake or act like something that you don't truly think or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a big believer. No one's stupid. People can read you.
Mhm.
People know when you're BSing or when you're not.
Yep.
And once they catch you BSing, you'll never have that equity or trust built in that person again. It's just so hard to get
Yeah.
once you lose it. Now, I think trust and equity is easy to build,
Mhm.
but it's just as easy to lose. And once you lose it, you're pretty much out, man. You're
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So
It's
be
gone.
careful.
It's gone. Um, yeah. Building trust with people because yeah, again, just like you said, man, it's there's like your energy is different and there's definitely little facial cues when you're not being honest or not you don't believe in what you're saying. Like people can tell if you're being fake. um
Sure.
yeah, and if you don't even believe what you're saying, there's no way you're going to get somebody else to believe what you're saying.
Yeah, man, and that's even part of like selling a tattoo is if someone comes in with an idea and you genuinely care about that customer like you should, and you're listening to their story, their reason of what they're doing, and they show that reference picture and they're like, I want exactly this. Uh, my God, if you think something different, tell them.
Yeah.
Tell
Yep.
them they should be trusting you. You're the guide anyway. And it's only going to help your sale anyway if you challenged their idea by going, "Hey, look, I hear you. I know why you're doing this, but what if something? I got a different thought. You mind if I show you? Right?
Mm.
Take time. Show them a different reference picture. Go draw something up for 20, 30 minutes and be like, hey, give me 20 minutes. I'm going to draw something up and show them something unique and challenge their idea.
Mm.
What's going to happen? Well, if you challenge their idea and they like your idea better, they're going to say, oh my God, I love it. Congratulations. They already took mental ownership. You sold them.
Mm.
Or if they're like, no, I'm really stuck in what I want, you still just strengthen the sale.
Yeah.
Because if you challenge them and they shut you down, now they're even more sold on what they were already showing you. So
Yep.
it doesn't hurt to challenge somebody in the right way. Um, you don't lose anything either side,
No.
you
No,
know.
you don't.
So don't be fake with it. If you don't like their idea or their reference picture for them, challenge them.
Yeah.
What's the worst that happens? They shut you down and they say, "No, I want this." Okay, well now you're being stronger in your answer. So hey, cool. Let's talk
Let's
about
do it.
doing this. You know, it doesn't hurt.
It does not. And I would even say, going along those lines, if you have something that you don't think is in your wheelhouse or you don't think you can do the best job, send it to somebody else. I was talking to an artist the other day. He only does large scale black and gray realism. People come to him all the time asking for like color stuff.
Yeah,
He
man.
doesn't want to do it. He sends it to somebody else. One, that builds trust that you are being honest enough to send them to someone else. And then when that person does want a black and gray piece, or they have a friend does, guess who is the first person that is going to get a call from them or their friend looking for that? Because you've already
Man,
built that trust.
I have been so blessed with past artists and current artists that are working at the shop for me. Um, they've always done a great job at that. It's crazy. Because that is one thing that I've always been afraid of, and I've never had to deal with.
Hmm.
Like even with the leads that come in, we'll get our leads in, and immediately if they're like, "Oh, this person wants the realism piece," I don't really mess with that, man. My stuff is Japanese or traditional or neo traditional. Be like, hey, you should holler at Frank. Frank's the realism guy, right? Or vice versa. If Frank can do it all, but in the same sense, Frank has his stuff that he rather works on. So when he gets something that's like, no, let's send this to David. David does really good at XYZ. They just constantly pass leads and people around. Um, and that makes it so much better. The customers see it and they love it because I'll have customers that we go, oh, well, I usually deal with David, right? And I'll be like, I know, right? If I'm the one talking to the customer, I talked to David and he recommended that I get you with Frank. And they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, David would tattoo you. Don't get me wrong. He just thinks that Frank's gonna blow the realism piece out the water for you. So
Builds a lot of
it
trust.
helps.
Builds a lot of trust when you're open and honest about stuff that's outside of your wheelhouse or that you think someone else could do. And again, also that artist will do the same back for usually for the most
Yeah,
part.
well, that all ties back into a little kind of off topic, but it's not really the sales part of the shop. That's just the feng shui of you and your team.
Mm.
Like I don't, I have zero tolerance for the drama or the cutthroatness. So like once that stuff starts showing, I'm gonna find the source and I'm probably gonna eliminate it.
Mm.
Uh, so it's just shop feng shui. How do you want it? Do you want a bunch of cutthroats? And just know when it gets cutthroat, they're not going to care about the client either. They don't care
No,
about the team
no,
or
they're not.
you. How do you want them to care about the stranger?
Yes.
It's just not going to happen.
It's not. And you know what? Actually, that's something I would like to talk about. I know we got about 10 minutes left and then I'll let you go. I've had you for almost an hour. But when you've been building your team or when you're looking for new artists, it sounds like them being a good fit in the actual, as being part of a team is a huge thing you look for. Would you say that's
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. It's. I'll tell you, regardless of how talented they are, if they're not going to fit in with the current team or with our attitude or feng shui, they're out. Like I won't even hire them. But now the interview process, I try to figure out as much as that as possible. But if they're not matching, if I think during the interview or early on of them getting on, I give a month probation when I hire somebody. That month probation is for me just purely to see if you even fit in with the shop and the team. Um, if they don't fit in, they could be the best artist ever. Unfortunately, this ain't gonna be a place for you.
Yeah.
Uh, I protect it like it's sacred ground. You know, hey, we're not gonna have drama here. We're gonna get along, and that's it.
I love that you do that because a lot of shops will, I won't say hire anybody, but how the new artist is going to mesh with the new team is usually not taken enough into consideration. And man, once you lose your artists, like it's real hard to get them back. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you. I mean, I've lost. um, I'd say quite a few artists in my time of short time of doing this, and usually it's not because of them not getting along with other artists. It's them not liking the way I run the shop. I mean, I've had one little apprentice. I love the girl. She was a great artist, great person. After a year of working with us, she was very honest and open about it. She was like, "I get the hustle and bustle of the shop. It's too much work. It's too much social pressure." And hey, look, I respect that answer. I appreciate you being honest, but this is how we conduct business. Um, it was too much for her. She didn't want that.
yeah.
Um, Nothing but respect. I've had other artists that don't like the following up. They don't like the texting or calling people. I'll try to do it for them as much as I can, but eventually that wears them out. That's been the
Mhm.
only real things that I've had to get rid of artists. Um, as far as artists who I don't want to see go that end up going,
Mhm.
is those reasons. And at that point, I think as a shop owner, you have to decide, hey, are you going to stick to your policies and procedures and how you want to do business, or are you going to adapt? Certain things, I like to believe I'm very adaptable, but when it comes down to how to conduct customer service or sales, I think I got it figured out, and unfortunately, we're going to go with my way. Uh,
It's a good way to do it,
but
man.
yeah,
It is interesting that some people, um, I guess I could see that. I mean, there's a lot of artists that like the thought of when you think of being a tattoo artist is laid back, you make your own hours. But at the other part is kind of
yep.
crazy to me because the whole point of what you do is so they make more money. It's putting more people in their chairs.
Man, you're bringing that up, and I'll tell you, you at least in my short experience, you don't find. Yeah, they all like the money. Who doesn't like money?
Mm,
But as far as an artist being truly the team member that is money motivated, it's not there. It's
yeah.
not there. You may get one out of every four or five that is truly just money motivated. Most artists, in my opinion, even other artists I talk to, yeah, who doesn't like money? But their true motivation comes from they love their art, they love making art, they love the industry, which are all great, valuable things.
Mm,
Um, that you have to figure out how to motivate because that's their motivation. But you don't have many money motivated artists.
mm,
They're out there, but most of them are not, and that was crazy to me. And I guess that makes sense. I'm not an artist,
mm,
I'm not. I appreciate art. I buy tattoos and I buy fine art, but yeah, even Frank. Frank's my business partner, and he likes money. I would not say Frank is money motivated. He's more in it for the love of the game. He just loves
mm.
tattooing, and which is a respectable thing.
It is 100% agreed. And yeah, artists get into it because they absolutely love it. Uh, Being an artist or a tattoo artist is definitely like a passion for people. And that's 100%
Sure.
respectable. And that's awesome that a lot of people think about that. And that's how it should be. You should also think about when you're going to be able to retire and how you're going to be able to retire. Because I know a lot of artists that are pushing mid to even later in their 60s and they're going to do that to, and they might want to, but I know some of them
Sure.
don't, but they haven't, there's no retirement plan since you're a 1099. And that's one of the other things to consider is, and again, being passionate is obviously the best part and loving it, but making good money and making sure you and your family are taken care of and you can retire, because I know nobody wants to be the 70-year-old with shaky hands still trying to tattoo.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was one of my thoughts. I got a buddy of mine's wife sells insurance and like retirement and pension plans and stuff. I offer that to everybody, and they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "If you want a private pension, I can get you one. You know, here's the details." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, you got to retire one day. You know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
hopefully you want to retire one day. I don't know."
Hopefully. Yeah, it's yeah. And I think we see more um artists kind of starting to realize that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ryan Roy, but he teaches a lot of that is like
Mm-mm.
eventually he does a lot of like financials. He owns a tattoo shop, but he also comes from a financial background. He teaches a lot of like how to be good with your money, so you don't have to worry about the rest of your life, because there's no like stress. There's not a lot of stresses, I should say, as bad as stressed about how you're going to keep a roof over your head, stuff like that, and worrying about the future.
Right,
That
right,
sucks. That
right.
sucks. Um, well, hey Alex, I've had you for almost an hour, man. I massively, massively appreciate it.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, this was great. It's always good to talk to somebody that with business and some sales experience. So hopefully this was helpful to everybody. And yeah, bro, we'll talk soon.
I'll holler, bro.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Later.
Bye.
Later.